There are things, even in death, I wouldn't dare to say out loud. I once believed love was the purest thing in the world. I once believed I would never stray. I once believed there were lines no one would ever cross. But then, everything shattered. Softly. Cruelly. Like a curse whispered in the dark. I fell in love. With a man I should have called my stepfather. A man who once promised forever to my mother. Yes, I know. I know it's wrong. I know it's filthy. But I couldn't turn back. You're going to ask. Why? How does someone fall for her mother's ex-boyfriend? I wish I had an answer. But some stories, they don't start with choices. They start with absence. With a glance. With a touch that feels too warm on a rainy night. I found that touch. In the dark. Where I should have run. But I didn't. I stood there. I let his hand pull me into an emptiness I would never escape. If I could turn back time, I wouldn't change a thing. Not because I'm proud. But because those moments of guilt were the only times I truly felt loved. Do you know the price of forbidden love? It's not the judgment. Not the shame. Not the sleepless nights. It's you. It's your soul. You lose yourself in a swamp where every step forward only drags you deeper. I loved him with everything I had. With everything I shouldn't have had. And he loved me back, in a way the world will never forgive. Some nights I wake up, heart pounding, cold sweat soaking my skin. I don't know if I'm scared, or if I miss him. Some days, I look in the mirror and don't recognize the girl staring back. The innocent Lena. She died a long time ago. She died the first time he pressed his lips to my forehead. She died in that first touch I didn't pull away from. They say, love is never wrong. Only people are. But if that's true, who was I in our story? A victim? A traitor? Or just a girl, so desperate to be loved, she forgot who she was? There's one truth I still can't face, even now. Not all love is meant to be saved. Some love is born to burn everything down. Have you ever loved someone so much that if you closed your eyes, the whole world would disappear? And there would be nothing left but the two of you, and the abyss? I jumped into that abyss. Willingly. Don't ask me why. Because the answer hurts worse than the sin itself. It started, so small. So innocent. I almost believed it myself. We ran into each other at a bookstore. Of all places. Among strangers, and silence, and paper dreams. He looked older. Sharper. Lonelier. Mark. The name burned on my tongue before I even said it. He smiled. The kind of smile you give an old friend. Warm. Careful. But not distant. And I smiled back. Because I didn't know what else to do. We talked. Nothing heavy. Books. Weather. Life. His voice. It hadn't changed. Still deep. Still slow. Still able to wrap around me like a blanket I didn't know I missed. I told myself it was just a coincidence. A harmless chat. A ghost of the past brushing by. But ghosts don't text you later that night. Ghosts don't say, "It was good to see you. Let's catch up sometime." I should have ignored it. I should have deleted the message. Instead, I typed back before I could think. I'd like that. And just like that, the door creaked open. We met again. And again. Coffee shops. Quiet walks. Lingering conversations that stretched too long. I noticed things I shouldn't notice. The way his hand would brush mine when he laughed. The way he would look at me a second too long. The way my heart pounded, not with fear, but with a thrill I couldn't name. Every little touch felt electric. Every glance a silent dare. But we stayed on the edge. Teasing it. Testing it. Pretending the line was still there between us. Maybe if we never said it out loud, it wouldn't be real. Maybe if we kept pretending, no one would get hurt. Late one evening, we sat in his car, rain beating against the windows. Neither of us moved to leave. Neither of us said goodbye. Silence filled the small space between us. Thick. Heavy. Waiting. He turned to me. His hand brushed a strand of hair from my face. Fingers lingering just a second too long against my cheek. And in a voice so low I almost didn't hear it, he said, "I never thought of you as just a kid, Lena. Not then. Not now." I stopped breathing. The rain blurred the world outside. Made it smaller. Made it just the two of us. I should have gotten out of that car. I should have slammed the door and never looked back. Instead, I closed my eyes and leaned into his touch. It was just a little touch. But little touches have a way of turning into things you can't undo. There's a moment when pretending stops working, and everything you buried claws its way out. It was raining again. Of course it was. As if the sky knew something was about to break. He picked me up in the same old car. The same one I used to ride in as a kid, legs swinging from the seat, singing to the radio. But tonight, there was no music. No talking. Just breathing. Just tension so thick it made my skin ache. We drove nowhere. We didn't need a destination. The road itself felt like an excuse to stay in motion. Because stopping meant facing it. We ended up by the old lake. The one no one visited anymore. The one where the world disappeared behind a veil of mist and forgotten paths. He parked the car. Turned off the engine. Silence swallowed us whole. I stared out at the water, pretending to be fascinated by nothing. Pretending my heart wasn't hammering against my ribs. Pretending my hands weren't shaking in my lap. I felt his eyes on me. Heavy. Searching. I didn't turn. I couldn't. Because if I met his gaze, I would fall. And some part of me, a part one hated, wanted to fall. Minutes passed. Or maybe seconds. Time bent strangely in that car, that night. Then, he reached for me. Fingers tracing the side of my face. Soft. Careful. Like asking a question without words. I didn't pull away. I didn't even breathe. He leaned in. Slow. Painfully slow. Giving me every chance to stop it. I didn't. When his lips touched mine, it wasn't fireworks. It wasn't a symphony. It was devastation. It was all the lonely nights. All the unsaid words. All the aching spaces inside me. Collapsing into a single moment. His kiss was gentle at first. Testing. Trembling. Then deeper. Hungrier. As if he, too, had been starving all this time. My hands found his shoulders, gripping him like a lifeline. I could feel the shudder in his body. The restraint. The desperation. We should have stopped. God, we should have stopped. But neither of us moved away. His hand slid down my arms. Over my waist. Pulling me closer. Closer still. Until there was no space left to hide. The windows fogged over, erasing the outside world. Only us. Only this. I climbed into his lap without thinking. Straddling him. Feeling the heat of his body against mine. His hands roamed my back, trembling slightly. Mine tangled in his hair, pulling him closer. Kisses turned frantic. Breaths ragged. It wasn't sweet. It wasn't careful. It was raw. Messy. Inevitable. He whispered my name against my skin. again and again. As if saying it could somehow make it right. Lena. 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 No one else existed. Not my mother. Not the past. Not the future. Only the now. Only the sin. The seats creaked under our bodies. The rain drummed harder against the roof. The air grew thick with the scent of sweat, and need, and everything we weren't supposed to be. When it was over, we stayed tangled together. Breathing hard. Silent. I rested my forehead against his chest, feeling the wild thump of his heart. He kissed the top of my head. Held me tighter. And in that fragile, broken moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, we could pretend the world outside didn't exist. But then, he whispered. A name. Soft. Slurred. Not my name. A different one. And just like that, the spell shattered. Jealousy is a wound you keep pressing, because the pain reminds you you're still alive. I tried to forget. Tried to pretend it didn't matter. The name he whispered wasn't real. Just a slip. Just a ghost of the past. But it clung to me. Clawed at me. Gnawed at the edges of everything sweet we had left. Who was she? Who was she to him? Every time he touched me now, I wondered. Was he touching her? Was he kissing her through me? I hated it. I hated how much I needed him anyway. Days blurred together. Late night texts. Secret meetings. Soft kisses stolen in places we shouldn't have been. But the sweetness was sour now. Every smile felt fragile. Every kiss tasted of fear. One afternoon, when the air was thick and heavy with coming rain, I found myself alone at home. My mother's house. The house we used to share, all three of us. It still smelled like her perfume. Still echoed with her laughter. Still held memories like dust clinging to forgotten corners. I wandered through the rooms. Aimless. Lost. I ended up in the attic. Old boxes stacked to the ceiling. Photographs. Journals. Scraps of a life abandoned. I dug through them like a woman possessed. Needing something. Anything. A reason. An answer. That's when I found it. Tucked between yellowed letters and brittle photo albums. A box tied with faded red ribbon. I hesitated. Something in me knew that whatever was inside would change everything. But I opened it anyway. Inside were letters. Love letters. From Mark. To my mother. Letters so raw, so desperate, they burned my fingertips. He had loved her. Madly. Hopelessly. In a way he never looked at me. I read them all. One after another. Until the words blurred through my tears. Promises of forever. Dreams of a life together. Vows to love her through every storm. And somewhere deep in the stack, a different kind of letter. Shorter. Angrier. Desperate. A confession. A betrayal. Mark had cheated on her. Broken her trust. Shattered her heart. With someone younger. Someone she didn't name. I sat there in the dust, shaking. Breathless. Younger. The word echoed inside me, cold and sharp. My stomach twisted. A sick, slow realization blooming like rot in my chest. Had it been me? Had it always been me? I remembered how he used to look at me. Even when I was too young to understand it. The lingering stares. The too long hugs. The gifts that made no sense. I pressed my hands against my face. As if I could block out the memories. As if I could block out the truth. Outside, thunder rumbled low across the sky. The house creaked and groaned under its weight. I wasn't a replacement. I wasn't a second chance. Maybe I had always been the original sin. I shoved the letters back into the box. Tied the ribbon with trembling hands. Buried it back under the piles of forgotten life. Some things were better left buried. Some things would bury you if you let them breathe. That night, Mark texted me. I miss you. 3 simple words. They used to set my heart racing. Now they made my blood run cold. I stared at the screen for a long time. Long enough for the rain to start falling. Then, finally, I typed back. We need to talk. Sometimes. The place you once called home becomes a graveyard for everything you tried to forget. I asked him to meet me. At the old house. The house where we all used to live. Mom. Mark. And me. It stood empty now. Peeling paint. Weeds choking the front steps. A hollow shell of a life that had already died. He pulled up in that same car. Got out slowly. Like he already knew this wasn't going to be a happy ending. He smiled. Tentative. Hopeful. I didn't smile back. We walked inside together. The door groaned open, spilling dust into the heavy afternoon air. The floorboards creaked under our weight. Ghosts stirred. The house smelled like damp wood and broken promises. Neither of us spoke. I led him into the living room. Where the couch still sat. Where we used to watch movies. Where he used to sneak glances at my mother. And maybe at me. He sat down. Leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I stayed standing. Distance. Control. 2 things I needed badly right now. He looked up at me. Eyes tired. Worn. Lena, he said softly. What's going on? I swallowed hard. The word stuck in my throat. Sharp. Bloody. You loved her, I said. It wasn't a question. He nodded. Slow. Sad. I did. And you hurt her. A shadow passed over his face. I made mistakes, he said. I was stupid. I was scared. With someone younger. My voice cracked. Snapped like brittle wood. He flinched. Looked away. Lena. Was it me? The question hung there. Trembling. Bleeding. He didn't answer right away. That silence was its own kind of confession. I felt the room tilt. The walls press in. I never touched you, he said, voice raw. Not then. But you wanted to, I whispered. He closed his eyes. The truth slipped out, broken and ugly. I didn't know how to stop looking at you. You were so alive. So full of everything I thought I'd lost. Tears blurred my vision. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to hold the pieces together. You were just a kid, I said. I know. And you waited, I said bitterly. You waited until it wouldn't be illegal. He opened his eyes. They were wet. Haunted. I'm sorry, he said. I swear to God, Lena. I tried to be better. The air between us crackled with something jagged. Something past forgiveness. I backed away. 1 step. 2. He didn't follow. Was there anyone else? I asked, voice hollow. He hesitated. And that hesitation cut deeper than any knife. There was someone, he admitted. But it wasn't what you think. I laughed then. A dry, broken sound. Of course, I said. It's never what I think. I turned away from him. Facing the cracked window. Watching the sky darken into bruises and thunder. Behind me, he whispered. There's something you don't know. Something your mother kept from you. I stiffened. My heart twisted violently in my chest. What are you talking about? I said. Silence. And then? Lena, your mother lied to you. About your father. The worst betrayals are the ones you never even thought to fear. I turned around. Slowly. Like the air had thickened into something I had to swim through. Mark sat there. Still. Silent. Heavy with whatever he wasn't saying. My father? The words felt foreign in my mouth. Sharp-edged. Dangerous. He nodded. Once. Almost imperceptibly. You're lying, I said. It was easier than believing. He shook his head. Your mother, she never told you. She was scared. She thought it would ruin you. Ruin me. As if anything left standing could still be called whole. I stared at him. Waited for the punchline. The clarification. The mercy. It didn't come. Who is he, then? My voice was barely a whisper. Mark stood up. Walked toward me. I took a step back. And another. He stopped. Hands raised slightly. As if he could calm the storm he had unleashed. You already know, he said. I shook my head violently. No. You do. No. I screamed. The word bounced off the cracked walls. Echoed through the dead house. You're not saying. I couldn't finish. He closed his eyes. Pain etched into every line of his face. When I met your mother, he said slowly, she was already pregnant. My knees buckled. I grabbed the edge of the broken window to stay standing. She told everyone it was her ex-boyfriend's child. Said he left her. Said she was alone. He opened his eyes. Looked straight into mine. But it wasn't. It wasn't his. The world spun. Tilted violently. And you? My voice cracked apart. Splintered. I was there, he said. I was young. Stupid. Drunk half the time. It was a mistake. One night. She said she was on the pill. He swallowed hard. I didn't even know. Not until later. Not until she came back. I pressed both hands against my mouth. As if I could shove the truth back inside. Mark. Mark. The man I had kissed. Touched. Loved. Was my father? No. No, no, no. I stumbled back. Hit the wall. Slid down to the floor. He crouched in front of me. Hands trembling. I didn't know, Lena. I swear to God, I didn't know at first. I laughed. A wild, broken sound. It tore out of me without permission. But you knew later, I said. A whisper. A blade. You knew when you kissed me. His face crumpled. You knew when you touched me. Tears blurred my vision. You knew. And you let it happen. I didn't want to lose you, he said hoarsely. You were the only good thing I ever had. Good. Good. What a disgusting word. I curled into myself. Small. Wrecked. My skin felt wrong. My blood felt wrong. Everything inside me screamed to be scraped clean. You loved me, I said. It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. A funeral bell tolling for every innocent part of me that had ever existed. I still do, he whispered. I stared at him. At the man who had ruined me before I even understood what ruin was. And somehow, some sick, broken part of me still wanted to crawl into his arms and disappear. I hated myself for it. I hated him more. The rain outside battered the house. Wind howled through the broken windows. I stood up slowly. Legs shaking. Mark rose with me. Please, he said. Let's leave. Start over. Somewhere no one knows. I looked at him. At the man who had taken everything. At the man who had been everything. And I said, no. One word. Sharper than a knife. Surer than any love I ever thought I felt. His face collapsed. A ruin built on top of ruins. I turned away. Walked out of that house of ghosts. Out into the storm. Rain soaked my hair. My clothes. My skin. I didn't care. I walked until my feet bled. Until the night swallowed me whole. Behind me, the house stood empty again. And somewhere inside, the echoes of everything we had destroyed whispered after me. I was free. I was damned. Maybe those two things were the same. Some wounds don't bleed. They breathe. And every breath is a reminder you survived something you never should have. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. Home wasn't home anymore. I wandered the streets until my shoes tore apart. Until my skin went numb. Until my heart felt like a hollow drum inside my chest. I ended up in a cheap motel. The kind with flickering lights and peeling wallpaper. The kind where no one asks questions. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the blank wall. Hours passed. Maybe days. I didn't eat. Barely drank. I just existed. Floating somewhere between life and death. Between memory and nightmare. I pressed a hand to my stomach. Felt the faintest flutter. The tiniest betrayal. I was carrying his child. I wanted to scream. Tear it out of me. Rip my own body to pieces. But I didn't. I sat there. Silent. Letting the horror bloom inside me. How do you love something made from everything wrong? How do you look at your own blood and not see all the broken pieces? I thought about getting rid of it. Ending it before it began. Before it had a chance to carry the curse forward. I thought about it every minute. Every second. I even made the appointment. Sat in the clinic lobby. Hands clammy. Heart racing. But when they called my name, I couldn't move. I sat frozen. A statue carved from shame and regret. And when they called again, and again, I finally stood up. And walked out. Back into the rain. Because somewhere deep inside the wreckage, there was a tiny, stubborn ember of hope. Not for me. For the life inside me. It wasn't its fault. It didn't choose its parents. It didn't choose this legacy. Maybe I could love better than I had been loved. Maybe I could end the cycle. I found a small apartment on the edge of town. A place where no one knew my name. No one knew my sins. I got a job at a diner. Long hours. Sore feet. Fake smiles. It didn't matter. Routine was a kind of salvation. Every night, I lay in bed, hands on my growing belly. Whispering promises I wasn't sure I could keep. I will protect you. I will love you. I will not let my past become your cage. Mark tried to contact me. Messages. Calls. Letters slipped under my door. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Loving him had already cost me everything. I had nothing left to give. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, I would dream of him. Not the man he was. But the man I had imagined. The man who never existed outside my own desperate longing. I hated him. I missed him. I hated myself for missing him. The baby kicked for the first time one evening as I was washing dishes. A soft nudge. A tiny miracle. I sank to the floor, wet hands pressed against my shirt, laughing and crying all at once. Maybe this was my second chance. Not to erase the past, but to build something new from its ashes. I started writing letters. To my child. Letters I might never give. Or maybe would hand over when they were old enough to understand that love isn't always clean. It isn't always right. But it's still real. In the letters, I told the truth. Not the whole ugly story. Not yet. But enough. I wanted them to know. They were not a mistake. They were not a sin. They were a spark of light in a night that almost swallowed me whole. I wrote about dreams. About hopes. About a better life waiting, just beyond the wreckage. And I wrote about forgiveness. Not for Mark. Not for my mother. For myself. Because if I couldn't forgive myself, if I couldn't crawl out of the grave I had dug, then I would bury my child there, too. And they deserved better than that. We both did. One night, close to dawn, I stood on the balcony of my tiny apartment. The sky was still dark. But there was a faint, silver crack bleeding into the horizon. A beginning. Or an ending. Maybe both. I closed my eyes. Took a deep breath. And whispered into the waking world. I will love you. No matter what blood runs through your veins. No matter what ghosts haunt your name. Because sometimes, the only way out of hell is to love your way through it. Some stories are too heavy to carry out loud. So I folded mine into your bones, and prayed you would forgive me. Dear little one. By the time you read this, you'll know more about the world than I ever wanted you to. You'll know that love isn't always beautiful. It's messy. Twisted. Sometimes, it grows in the wrong soil. Sometimes, it blooms from the wrong hands. You were born from something forbidden. From a story people would spit at. Point at. Whisper about in dark corners. But you are none of that. You are not the shame that made you. You are not the secret that almost swallowed me whole. You are the light I crawled toward in a night that wanted to drown me. I wish I could tell you everything cleanly. I wish I could say it was simple. It wasn't. There was a man. The first man who made me feel seen. The first man who touched the parts of me that even I was afraid to touch. And that man was also my ruin. He loved me in a way no one should ever love. He loved me when he should have looked away. He loved me when it cost me everything. And I loved him, too. Blindly. Desperately. Beautifully. Maybe you'll think I'm weak. Maybe you'll think I'm selfish. Maybe you'll hate me for what I allowed. Maybe you should. But know this. You were never the mistake. You were the only thing that felt right in a world turned inside out. The day I heard your heartbeat for the first time, I understood something no one had ever taught me. Love, real love, isn't what someone takes from you. It's what you choose to give away freely. Even if it costs you your pride. Even if it costs you your past. Even if it costs you your heart. I don't know what you'll look like yet. I don't know if you'll have my eyes. Or his mouth. Or some stranger's laugh stitched into your bones. All I know is this. I will love you fiercely. Without condition. Without apology. You will never have to earn my love. You will never have to pay for my mistakes. You are not my sin. You are my redemption. Some nights, even now, I wake up gasping. Choking on memories I can't scrub away. But then, I feel you move inside me. Strong. Certain. And I know. We are not the sum of what hurt us. We are the sum of what we choose to heal. I chose you. I chose us. Even when the world would tell me to choose differently. I don't know what kind of mother I'll be. I'm terrified most days. I'm terrified that my darkness will bleed into your light. That my fears will build walls inside you I never wanted you to carry. But I'm trying. God, I'm trying. Every day I wake up, and I fight for the better ending. Not the one they wrote for me. The one I'm writing for you. A story where love is safe. And hands are gentle. And no one looks at you and sees a wound waiting to happen. I know one day you'll ask me. Maybe with words. Maybe with a look. You'll ask, "Where's my father?" And when that day comes, I will sit with you, hold your hands in mine, and tell you, you were born from fire. But you are not the fire. You were born from brokenness. But you are not broken. You are loved. Wholly. Freely. Forever. I don't know if you'll forgive me. For the blood in your veins. For the silence I sometimes wrapped around us like armor. But whether you do or not, my love for you will not change. It will not waver. It will not dim. It is the only part of me that ever made sense. The only part of me I am proud to give you. So live, my love. Live loudly. Live bravely. Do not be afraid of the past you carry. It made you strong. It made you fierce. It made you, you. And you are worth every scar I carry. You are worth every mistake I made. You are worth everything. Always. Your mother. Some stories don't end. They just change shape. And keep breathing inside you. If you're still here. Still listening to the broken pieces of my heart. Thank you. Thank you for carrying this weight with me. For stepping into the shadows I tried to outrun. For believing that even in the ruins, something soft could still survive. Maybe you see yourself somewhere in my story. Maybe you don't. It doesn't matter. What matters is this. We are all more than the worst things that ever happened to us. We are all more than the hands that tried to shape us into something small. I am not just a girl who loved the wrong man. Not just a daughter of betrayal. Not just a scar stitched into someone else's history. I am still becoming. And so are you. If this story left you aching, or angry, or heavy with memories you thought you buried, that's okay. It means you're still alive. Still fighting. Still here. And maybe that's enough for now. There are more stories waiting. More wounds to touch gently. More truths to whisper into the night. If you're ready, I'll be waiting for you. Until then, be soft. Be brave. Be the thing you were never taught to be. Unapologetically alive.